Hey, how's it going, guys? I hope you guys have all had a great day or having a good day. It's Thursday, March 8th, 2012, and I got just one topic for today, something very specific. I don't think I ever mentioned this before. I may have very briefly in another vlog. But I want to talk about as a book I want to talk about. I read this a few months ago, and it's a book. It's called The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. And you may have seen the promos on TV. They've been playing a lot lately. March 23rd comes the new feature movie based on this book, and it is part of a series of books. There's three. We have Catching Fire. And then the final book is Mockingjay, which I've actually only read the first one yet, and I do very much plan on reading the other two. I figured, read the first one, I will wait until I see the movie, get myself, re-caught up, and then I'm going to start on the second book. The closer I get to this, I'm really getting anxious to actually want to read this book. Now, the first I ever heard of this book. There are two YouTubers one named Alex Carpenter and another one named Joey Graceffa, and they do vlogs like this, and they're part of the reason that I've been vlogging. They're sort of part of my inspiration to vlog, along with some others that I've mentioned before. But they also do music. Besides the vlogging, Joey does these parody songs. He did one. Well, he'll take sort of current songs or like popular songs, and he'll parody them, make them about something else. Like he did a song about a zombie apocalypse. He did a song about Game of Thrones. A bunch of other songs. I don't know. Those are couple of my favorites. But anyway, and Alex Carpenter does. He's someone he I know I've talked about before, because I saw him last month or 2 months ago. There was this concert I went to in the city called the Dial Up Tour. So I got to see him in concert, which was really cool. And he does what he would refer to as kind of nerd rock, which he does. He's done songs with Star Wars and Harry Potter. He's very big into Harry Potter, and he's done Hunger Games songs as well. So anyway, they would talk about these books and various times, and they've read them, and they're just big fans of the books. So that got me interested, and they would talk about what the book is about, which I'll get into in a little bit. And it always sounded interesting. And then I remember seeing the first trailer for the first movie, which comes out on March 23rd. And again, it looked really interesting. That got me thinking, I think I'd kind of like to read these books. It's been a while since I read like an actual book. I actually love to read. But, I've read magazines and comic books and stuff like that, but I haven't read an actual book. The last full book I read was a Star Wars book called Death Troopers, which that's an awesome book. If you haven't read that, definitely check that out. But so a couple days after the trailer, I saw these books, all three of them in Kmart. There was like a big kind of book display, kind of separate in one of the aisles, and there were Harry Potter books and Twilight books, and on one side were all three of the Hunger Games books. I'd heard some of the buzz about this movie, and it was going to be, like one of the next big thing. Now that Twilight and Harry Potter are over, or Twilight's almost over, thank God. So I picked up all three of these books, and I just found myself, it really reinvigorated my want to read, because I found myself, whenever I had spare moment, I wanted to just pick it up and read, and I just find out what was going to happen next, and I like wanted to finish it. And my main thing was that I wanted to at least finish the first book before the movie came out, and I definitely managed to do that. That's no problem. Like I said, I'm going to get to the second and third books soon. I think after the movie, and I'll sort of re-acknowledge myself with the happenings of the first book, sort of rebuff myself. I'm not saying this right, but I think you know what I mean. Anyway, and then from there I'll start with the second book, with Catching Fire. So, okay, and also I picked this up too as well today. Is this magazine, and it's a whole kind of tribute to the Hunger Games. I'll done through this magazine, and there's all kinds of, there's posters in there, and there's all kinds of photos, and usual kind of. There have been magazines like this about other movies as well. What else can so anyway, so that was really cool. So what the book is about, at least the first book, you have basically, it's what's left of North America. That's how it's described as. And through a series of disasters, I think there have been like wars and whatnot, and various natural disasters and things that have happened that really decimated the country. And I think part of the country is not like underwater, and there's things. What's left of the country has been divided into 12 districts, 12 specific areas, and certain areas are still very much alive and have the people that are more well off, and the other districts people are poor. There's just like now, really, there's higher class and middle class, and there's the poor sections. Anyway, so at one point it's described that there were 13 districts, and there was a rebellion against the government. The government is very much like in control, like iron-fisted, kind of in control. And there was a rebellion, and that was ended horribly and like wiped out this whole district. So the government that's in power comes up with this idea as to how to keep this from ever happening again. And they come up with this thing called the Hunger Games. And what happens is, from the ages of 12 to 18, any person, any boy or girl within those ages is, they can be chosen to participate. They're basically forced to participate in this Hunger Games. And basically names are put in bowls, and at random you have one boy and one girl from each district are chosen. And their names are picked out, and they're basically thrown in an arena, and it's been different areas each year. Basically put out in a certain point, and just they have to fend for themselves. And periodically there are little pockets of supplies that are dropped down. There's weapons you could use to defend yourselves, and food, and survival gear and whatnot. But basically you keep going, and you are there until only one person is left. It's basically like a fight to the death. You are supposed to kill the other 23 tributes, as they're called in this book. And it's all like televised, and it's really interesting to see like kind of psychological things going on between the different characters. You have some of the main characters. The main character in this book is a girl named Katniss Everdeen, which, how she gets into the Hunger Games, I don't want to spoil it, but how she gets into the Hunger Games is slightly different than everyone else. There's a character named Peta, who's also from her district, and all sorts of other people, and there's hunting down, and there's rivalries, and you have certain groups, certain characters form little groups trying to like team up, so better their efforts to get out of this thing alive, you know. And they go through, and it's really exciting, and you have, you know, Katniss and Peeta, and they have their families that are watching this. It's basically broadcast throughout, like, what's left of the country, as I said. And so you have, like, she's worried about her family, and she's worried about his, and this thing, and there's all this stuff going on, and it's just real interesting and exciting, and there's, like, you're not really sure what's going to go on. There's all sorts of, you know, things going on between characters where, like, wait, are they doing this to trick me? Is this how this person really feels? Like, there's a lot of sort of back and forth between Peeta and Katniss, and it's basically, you know, you're not sure what are their true feelings towards each other. You know, there's some history between them, and there's history with her, and there's this other character named Gale, and it's this whole thing where she's not sure throughout the book of what is the right thing to do as she's going through this, trying to survive. And, you know, it's little by little, tributes are killed through force of nature or from other contestants, tributes, whatever you want to call them. And it's, you know, I won't go into what happens at the end because I don't want to spoil it. But it's just a real interesting and exciting. I really became excited reading this book. And it's the closer the movie is getting, I'm really getting excited to see this movie. So it's something sort of, you know, like I said, this is going to be sort of like the next big thing. And I didn't get in. I'm just getting into Harry Potter now, and Twilight I have no interest in. But this is kind of like, I'm excited because it's like I'm sort of getting in on this craze as it starts. As far as the movies, you know, the books have been out for a little while, a couple years. So, yeah, so that's something I wanted to talk about. I mean, it's only a couple of weeks away. But if this sounds interesting to you, definitely check the book out, or, you know, certainly the movie when it comes out in a couple of weeks. You know, it's just really interesting. I know I keep saying that. I don't know how else to say it. There's all kinds of twists and turns, and really cool characters, and fun characters, and characters you hate or characters you love, and all. And I think it's really good. So yeah, so that was my sort of, I don't know if you want to call that a book review or whatever, movie preview, however you want to categorize it. But that's, you know, again, I'm new to this, but it's a big thing. These books are really popular, from what I understand. There's a big following, there's a big fan base already for these. So, yeah. So that's about it. Hopefully, I know this is very different from the stuff I usually talk about. So hopefully you've enjoyed this little discussion. And that's it. I'm going to leave you. I'm going to wrap this up. And until tomorrow, I will see you. And little gimmick infringement here. I will say, until tomorrow, may the odds be forever in your favor.